What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are talking about the draft once again. It's only a few days to the draft, so we can't waste any time, all right? We have to get right into it. We got to be talking about some prospects. So I'm going to try to hit you guys with a lot of videos where I'm talking about prospects, so hopefully you guys are prepared, because after these next 3 days and we get into the draft, and then the 3 days of the draft, which by the way is awesome, then you know it's it. That's it. So then we're focusing on next season already. So draft is like one of those times that are super exciting, and I know they can be kind of overwhelming. It's like, oh my gosh, another draft video. But you got to think, it's 3 days long, and once it's over, you got a long wait between then and the season, and there's really not a lot of big things going on, right? Free agency is done, the draft is done. So it's kind of just, what the Lions are doing as a team, how they're working out. So it's kind of slower after the draft time, so I think we should be excited for it. I'm super excited for it, and I think we should enjoy it. And if you are a Lions fan and you have time, definitely watch it. I mean, I would say at least try to keep up with the 3 rounds because, not the 3 rounds, the 7 rounds, because it's super exciting and it's long. I understand it's long, but definitely stay locked over here. I will have you guys updates. I'll probably be live for a lot of it, but I will come out with updates as things happen as well. So let's talk about some prospects. Let's go. All right, the first player we're talking about is a guy that I think the Lions could be targeting in the first round that I think would be a great option, even though a lot of people aren't expecting him to be your option. I think a lot of people look at Isaiah Simmons at 3, Jeffrey Okudah, maybe if you trade back Derrick Brown, someone like that. Like, those are probably the 3 main options. Then obviously offensive line, which always comes up because that's what we always do is go get an offensive lineman. But in this video, I'm talking about a guy that we've talked about a lot. I like him a lot, but I don't know if we talked about him to actually be a realistic draft option. That's Javon Kinlaw. Now, Javon Kinlaw has made it known on Twitter about a month ago that he was possibly interested in being with the Detroit Lions by commenting on one of their posts. And that's not something they usually do. So I think he's kind of trying to remind the Lions, hey, I'm still here. Don't forget about me, okay? I know all these other prospects are hyping you up. Don't forget about me, though. I'm still a great player. And I was with your boy, Matt Patricia, at the Senior Bowl. So don't forget that. And that's great because, he did this post on Twitter after, the Senior Bowl. So he was probably like Matt Patricia. He probably liked him as a coach. He probably got to see him as his personality, and he probably enjoyed it. So he wants to be a Detroit Lion, maybe now. And I think that on its own is the reason that I would be targeting him if you possibly can. Doesn't mean you have to select him, but I would definitely have him high on my big board. And when I come out with my big board for draft day, I don't know how complete it's going to be, but I would definitely have Javon Kinlaw high on it just because of that reason. The story bringing up is very inspiring, though, and it's something that, we talk about character all the time. This is super important. You gotta know how the players are, what they've been through. This guy's been through a lot, and to be where he is now it's really impressive. We talked to Glover Quinn, how he went to a junior college from a small school, and then he ended up in the NFL, which is absolutely insane. Talking about Javon Kinlaw, he was homeless. He was using his neighbors' water, electricity, stuff like that. So that's just crazy. And now he's going to be a first-round draft pick. He went to a junior college. It's insane. So he has, the character. He's been through it. He said it's made him tough. He plays really tough and stuff like that. So this is definitely a guy I would have no problem with the Lions taking in the first round. Now, how do you get him? That's the real problem here. You want him, but how do you get him? Because are you going to take him at 3? Probably not. Let's be real here. I wouldn't hate it. It would shock a lot of people. I think we'd get a terrible grade. I think everybody on TV would be like, boo. I wouldn't hate it. There would be no booing. There'd be virtual boos. They hit the boo button because everybody's at home. They hit the boo button. Everybody's booing. Look, I don't think many people would love this pick, not many Lions fans. However, I wouldn't hate it, but at 3, it's probably not the best option. Now, we know Lions may not be to get the trade back. We're not sure what's going to happen there. There's really 2 ways you get him. Either you trade back far enough to where it makes sense to justify picking him first, or you take someone else at 3, maybe you still trade back, maybe you just take someone else, and then you try to move back into the draft with picks you acquired, or just move back with what you have for next year and this year. Move back into the draft, get 2 first-round picks, potentially, and get Javon Kinlaw and another player. I would have no problem doing either one. It would make day 1 super exciting if the Lions did that. So, I think there's ways to get him. If you really want to go get him, you can figure it out. And I think, moving 8 and past I think once you get to, number 8 in the draft, anywhere past number 8, I would have no problem with taking him with my first pick because I think the Jaguars could take him. I just think anywhere past number 8, I would have no problem with you taking him at first. Honestly, if they took him at 3, wouldn't hate it, wouldn't love it. I'd be like, okay, all right, but hey, you know what? I wouldn't hate either because I am really high on Javon Kinlaw. I've always said that Derrick Brown's the best interior defense lineman in the draft, but Javon Kinlaw, to me, is a better pass rusher. The stats back it up. He's just super dominant when you watch him. So I would say he's a better pass rusher, a little bit versatile, less versatile than Derrick Brown was in college, but I do think he'd be a really good fit for our defensive line, kind of pull it all together with Trey Flowers and Danny Shelton. Now, let's talk about some prospects that I think the Lions would be interested in. So I was looking at a lot of prospects. What if the Lions pass on Okudah? Well, then there's Fulton, there's Noah, there's Cameron Dantzler. What if the Detroit Lions, do this? What if they do this? But then I decided, okay, let's look at some prospects that I think the Lions are really going to target this year, that based on what they've done, they may target. Now, we know the Lions are a team that wants to hide everything and they try to keep everything secret. Usually, if they reach out to a player, that means they may not go after him because it's a smokescreen. Last season, someone brought up and made a great point that TJ Hockenson was a guy that I think a lot of people did believe that Lions could go TJ Hockenson. They just weren't talking to him before. Now, seeing at number 8 is a lot different than 3. But again, at the same time, people have no idea where Lions are going at 3. Sometimes 3 is a lock. This year, we have no idea. I mean, it's not a lock. I mean, the Lions could trade back. They could select a player. We have no idea. Does necessarily just reaching out to them mean that the Lions will not target them in the draft? I don't necessarily think so, and here's why. There are 2 players that I found, okay? So what I decided to do is look at the team that Matt Patricia coached at the Senior Bowl, go through that roster. Then I looked at the players that the Lions have had virtual visits with because everything, they're virtual visits now. And I took all of those players, and I wanted to see if there's anybody that did both. What players both at the Senior Bowl and both had a virtual visit with the Lions, because to me, that's not much of a smokescreen, especially when I talk about who these players are. And at the same time, I think these are guys the Lions are definitely interested in if they've done it twice, because they were already with him at the Senior Bowl. Why would they have a visit with him if they're not interested in them? And they're not high-round picks where it's like, oh, he might take him at 3. Like, they could have done Tua, right? Say if Tua was at the Senior Bowl and then they interviewed Tua, it'd be different, because then people are like, hold up, they were with him, now they're interviewing them, okay, they're definitely interested, and then that would be perfect smokescreen. But in this case, I don't think, these later-round prospects would make sense, but I came across 2 players. The first player is Bradley Anae, a guy we've talked about a lot out of Utah, edge rusher. Really, really good. 6'3", 257 pounds. He can compete for the Jack role. He's got the height. He's got the size. Many people don't believe he's super athletic or has a great technique playing at Utah, and his production came from tons of snaps in pass rush. But I really think, this guy's energy and motor is insane. Some people believe he'd be a day 1 impact as a day 2 pick. I think he would as well. He was projected to go like 5th round, which is crazy to me because this is a very good player. Statistically, he looks really great. 13 sacks, 39 quarterback hurries, 74.5 overall grade. Looks really good on paper playing at Utah. This dude is just a pass rusher. He had an 88.1 pass rush grade. I mean, he's a great pass rusher, and when you watch him, the first time I saw him, I was like, wow, this guy's a monster. And, then all this stuff kind of puts together. I honestly didn't even really know he was at the Senior Bowl. I'm not going to lie. I kind of forgot about that. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, well, Lions actually might be interested in this prospect if they're going to meet up with him twice. So don't be shocked if Bradley Anae's a pick, and I definitely hope he is. And finally, is it Laurel or Laurel? I think it's Laurel. Laurel Murchison. He is a 7th round projected player. Possibly could go 6th, 5th round. We know that projections don't mean a lot. Went to NC State and is known to not be completely polished. I would say that's what the talk is, that he's not completely polished as a pass rusher. He is a 6'2", 297 pound edge rusher. Now, I think he'd be more of a defensive lineman for us. I think at that size, I don't think he'd necessarily be a great edge rusher. I mean, maybe he could do it. Maybe he would shock some people. I think he'd be more of a rotational defensive line player. I would have no problem with that at all. In 2019, he came up with 21 run stops, 6 sacks, and 18 hurries. He's known as a run stopper, okay? That's what the talk is behind him. His run stop grades out extremely well, way better than his pass rush grade. There are some sacks, back-to-back years, 6 sacks, but that's not believed to be something that he has, completely polished up yet. That's more something that's a work in progress. But his ability to stop the run is something that he has right now and that he could impact the team with right away. So those are 2 players that have overlapped. Those are the 2 players. I wanted to talk about those 2 because I would not be shocked if those are guys that the Lions select later in this year's draft. So let me know some prospect talk. Talk about whatever you guys got in the comments below. There may be another video soon. I'm not exactly sure. We'll just see what comes up. But until then, thank you for watching, and I'm out.